Boruto, after his 3-year time skip, has reached a level of power where he's almost unmatched in terms of who he can be put up against. From his dismantling of code and just his base form with little to no difficulty and general disregard for Kawaki, it's pretty apparent Boruto is one of the strongest now. But does Boruto's strength hold up when you throw him against every single character in Naruto Part 1 and Naruto Shippuden? I think it's an interesting question, or at the very least entertaining to discuss because of the new jutsu Boruto has been showing to us, like his Rasengan Uzuhiko, or the fact he just debuted that he knows the Flying Raijin jutsu, albeit he does admit he's worse at it than Minato. But that being said, we could jump straight into the video. Before we begin, be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more Naruto versus Boruto matchups like this one. For the sake of saving everyone's time and not keeping myself here for upwards of 3 hours, talking about Boruto versus every single character in Naruto in a 1v1 is probably just not time efficient. There is also a general level where you can probably beat the rest of the Narutoverse at, and that's Ten Tails level, or I guess you could say Ten Tails Jinchuriki level. Characters like Jubi Obito and Jubi Madara are so far above the rest of the cast that it takes the entire cast working together to pull the tailed beast out of Obito, and this is a mental nerfed Obito at that. We know Obito's mental state is worsening because the sword of Nunuboko happened to break, and that sword reflects Obito's mental state. Albeit this was a much smaller number of shinobi than the entire alliance was made up of because their numbers had dwindled over the couple of days that the war had been taking place, but at the same time they were all being aided by both Minato's Kurama cloak and Naruto's Kurama cloak to help them get stronger and actually pull these tailed beasts out of Obito. In case you don't remember the specific amp that these 9 tails cloaks give the rest of the cast, Kakashi mentioned that earlier he had gotten a 3 times boost from it, and Naruto managed to give him an even stronger cloak than that, and then after refilling all their chakra again, Naruto gave them an even stronger cloak than that. So Kakashi, being a high level jonin, probably having much more chakra than the average shinobi, these shinobi, some of them are likely getting upwards of 3, maybe 4 times of an amp when it comes down to the last cloak that Naruto gave them. Obviously, Jubi Obito being this strong would make Jubi Madara even more impressive, considering he was stronger than him even just in his base Jubi Madara form, let alone getting one other Rinnegan and then the Rinne Sharingan on top of that, giving him the ability to cast the Infinite Tsukuyomi. But in this specific battle, this is obviously just going to add to the Naruto team's firepower this time rather than working against them. They'll also have access to Kaguya, who is even stronger than Madara and is undoubtedly the heaviest hitter that they're going to have on their team in this fight against Boruto. So let's switch gears to talk about Boruto just a little bit. Boruto's new strongest jutsu, Rasengan Uzuhiko, is very powerful, but at the same time it's also a single target jutsu. While Boruto should be able to put this jutsu on multiple people, he can only hit one person with it at a time is what I mean. It's not some giant AoE attack. The jutsu focuses more on internal destruction rather than external, sort of like the Gentle Fist. That being said though, there are at least 4 characters in the Narutoverse that should be able to resist this to at least some degree. That being Kaguya, Madara, Hashirama, and Obito. Kaguya should be able to resist it because she can absorb chakra through her entire body. That may be a Rinnegan ability, or it may be due to her Otsutsuki genetics, but regardless, she can absorb chakra through her entire body, so the jutsu should be able to just be absorbed. Madara is the same, he should be able to absorb the jutsu using his Rinnegan. Hashirama is a bit of a different story here, where he might be able to heal through it, but that's if you even think he'll get that far in the first place. There's a chance that when Boruto puts Uzuhiko in Hashirama's body, he just immediately collapses. And the last one is Obito, and it's for the exact same reasons as Madara and Hashirama combined. He has the advanced healing from his Hashirama cells, and he has the Rinnegan. The immediate response to this is that Obito never actually uses the Rinnegan ability to absorb, so it's not very in character for him to do so. I disagree with this, and I think there's an example of him doing so in the manga itself. When he's up against Kakashi, or taking him away into the Kamui dimension to be more specific, Kakashi has this cloak on him of Kurama's chakra, yet when they spawn in Kamui's dimension after Obito puts his hand on him, Kakashi no longer has the cloak. The only way the cloak could have dissipated is by Obito absorbing it, because one scene he has it, the next scene he doesn't. You could potentially argue that both Hagoromo and Sasuke, since they have access to the Rinnegan, could resist Uzuhiko as well by absorbing it. I personally don't think Hagoromo would get hurt by the jutsu because Hagoromo is just a chakra ghost. Sasuke would, and Sasuke should be able to resist it. Naruto is sort of in the same boat with Hashirama, where he may be able to heal through it, although his healing is much less severe than Hashirama's, so his chance of healing through it is a lot less likely than Hashirama's is. Pain or Nagato is the last user of the Rinnegan you would expect to be able to do something like this, but realistically, Pain or Nagato would just simply keel over if ever hit by Uzuhiko. Pain doesn't have any of the durability on the level of any other people I've mentioned so far, and Nagato, while he is tough, isn't realistically coming out on top if Boruto hits him with Uzuhiko. Just to be clear though, all the characters I listed only have the chance of resisting Uzuhiko. The only one realistically who would be able to do so due to the high AP of the jutsu is Kaguya. This jutsu is something that was able to damage Code, who is stated stronger than Jigen, who is stronger than Naruto and Sasuke, and as I'm sure you can guess where I'm going with that, they should be stronger than Kaguya by this point. Kaguya is the only person who might be able to resist it and has the most realistic chance of doing so. Madara, Hashirama, Obito, Naruto, and Sasuke and Pain as well should all keel over if ever hit by it. Another move Boruto has learned recently is the Flying Raijin, and I just really wanted to quickly talk about his Flying Raijin versus Minato and Tobirama's. His versus Minato's is really no debate. We know who's better with the jutsu. It's stated that Minato handles Flying Raijin to perfection. Boruto himself admits that Minato is better than him at the jutsu, probably knowledge he got from the Sage Toads or something like that, since we do know he's been talking to Kashin Koji. Him versus Tobirama's Flying Raijin is a bit different. I would say Tobirama's Flying Raijin is probably a bit better than Boruto's. It seems to take Boruto a little bit of time to gather the chakra in order to teleport. However, he is teleporting to a complete other dimension, which is something we've never seen Tobirama do, so maybe it would take Tobirama longer to actually gather and need the chakra to teleport that far distance. To be fair to Boruto as well, the next time we see him use the jutsu against the Bug Ten Tails clone, he does do it without needing to gather any chakra. So it is possible in the future, since he has only used it 1 to 2 times at this point, that we'll get to see much better showings of Flying Raijin from Boruto, but right now he just doesn't have it, and I would say that their Flying Raijin is better than his. After all, it is the guy who created it versus the guy who completely mastered it. A very interesting discussion though, since this is a versus battle, would be if Boruto could connect to the seals of Tobirama and Minato in order to teleport where they're going to go, or maybe get the jump on them by teleporting to their specific kunai markings. Now, realistically, it's not like Boruto would need to do this, but it's definitely something that he could do in order to get around the battlefield. Minato in character likes to spread tons of kunai around the battlefield, so it could help Boruto just maneuver that way, but it's also possible that Tobirama and Minato could connect to Boruto's seals and sort of flip things on him. The Narutoverse, even though Boruto is much stronger than all of them, they do have their star players or techniques that can negate their ability to help them try to pull a win on Boruto. This could potentially bring up problems in the future, but for now, the Narutoverse's star players are Deidara because of C4, Kakashi because of Kamui, Naruto because of Frog Strike, Madara with Infinite Tsukuyomi, Hashirama and his Poison Flowers, and Itachi with Tsukuyomi. So we'll start with these, going through them one by one, and we'll start with Deidara C4. Deidara C4, in case you need your memory jogged a little bit, is when he summons the gigantic Deidara that seems to misfire, but what it actually does is put tiny microscopic cellular bombs in the air that when you inhale, they destroy your cells and eventually eradicate you. These bombs are generally seen as this one-shot hyper ability, but I want to bring up something that I think is interesting coming from the 5 Kage summit with Sasuke. Sasuke, when he's using his Susanoo, mentions how every cell in his body hurts. Now, this could of course be a hyperbolic statement, him just saying that his body hurts, but him saying that every cell in his body hurts implies that his cells have some level of durability, which is just natural of course. So Deidara's bombs need to have some level of AP in order to destroy these specific cells. Boruto's cells in this case, and to say that Datara's bombs could damage Boruto's cells at this point would be a fairly weak claim on my end because I have no way to prove that he could actually damage Boruto's cells. On the flip side, it'd be pretty hard to prove that Boruto's cells could just tank the C4 explosions. After all, we do know that these shinobi enhance their body with chakra, but we don't know if it's down to a cellular level. If you imagine the chakra enhancements like putting armor over your body, putting a suit of armor over your body, or in this case a chakra cloak, would be different than going down to the cellular level and reinforcing every cell with chakra, if you get what I mean. On top of this though, Boruto should be able to sense this jutsu and just completely move away from it. Not to mention the massive collateral damage this will do if Boruto does actually avoid it. It would take out a massive chunk of the Narutoverse at this point. Data is a very strong character. So if anything, this would just end up making it even easier for Boruto to beat everybody present. Kakashi with Kamui could actually have a fair shot depending on how you want to interpret a few things. In Dead Book 3, it is stated that Kakashi's Kamui cannot be defended against, meaning you cannot dodge it, you cannot outrun it, you cannot reinforce your body. If he targets you, he's going to warp space and throw that body part into the Kamui dimension. This really only presents a problem for Boruto if his head gets sniped off. With Boruto being a sensory ninja and having the ability to sense, it's possible he can sense the chakra buildup in Kakashi's eye and slash his head off before that even gets a chance of happening. But with Boruto having to fight so many shinobi and teleporting shinobi being on the battlefield like Minato and Tobirama like I said prior, this jutsu does present a genuine threat for Boruto. However, I do think Boruto is fast and strong enough so where Kakashi should never actually be able to get that perfect shot on him with Kamui in order to teleport his head into the dimension, because realistically, that's the only one that's going to do major damage and take Boruto out. Warping his body in any way, meaning his legs or arms, isn't going to put Boruto down for good and will just, if anything, make Boruto turn up the heat and get things done faster. You're probably wondering why I didn't bring up Obito's Kamui, and that's because Obito's Kamui is sort of useless here. If he sucks Boruto into the Kamui dimension, since Boruto has shown the ability to move with flying Raijin across dimensions, it should be possible for him to just teleport back out of the Kamui dimension, making it not the one-shot technique that it is in most other versus battles. On the flip side though, Boruto shouldn't be able to BFR Obito using his time-space portals because Obito should just be able to teleport back to the real world, and the same goes for Kakashi. If Boruto teleports Kakashi to another world, Kakashi should be able to enter the Kamui dimension using his eye like he did prior, and then teleport out of the Kamui dimension back to Earth. These last four are fairly simple, and if you feel like I've missed any, you can obviously leave a comment. Naruto's frog strike hits the insides, and that's something you cannot train. At least in the ninja world you can't train that. There might be an argument that Otsutsuki can do so, and if that's the case, Boruto should be able to do so, but as far as we know, Boruto can't do that, so Naruto's frog strike, if he happens to land one, should be able to do some decent damage because it actually damages your insides rather than your outside. Madara's infinite Tsukuyomi is another gamble. If Boruto actually just teleports out of the dimension while it's happening, then it's obviously not going to land on him, but everyone else in the Narutoverse is going to get covered and he's not going to have to fight all of those people. It's another one of those things that could possibly end up backfiring. Hashirama's poison flowers are another bit of a weird thing because if everyone inhales the poison and Boruto can again just teleport away, then it's not like this is going to do much in the way of taking down Boruto. To be fair though, if Boruto happens to inhale the poison, we have absolutely no proof that Boruto would be able to resist it, and it would probably put him down using that logic. If you want to say that Boruto is just so strong that this poison wouldn't matter, be my guest. I think he would probably just teleport away. It's not like it's a hard jutsu to miss. The big flowers cover almost the entire battlefield, so he should be able to notice and just get out of there. Last but not least is Itachi's Tsukuyomi. This is one that if it lands on Boruto should be able to do serious damage to him. Boruto at this point has not shown the ability to turn on his Jogan Eye, and even then we don't know its resistances to Genjutsu. So if Itachi can land Tsukuyomi on Boruto, assuming that there is no flex out of the Genjutsu chakra hacks we don't know about, Boruto might be cooked. There's nothing that should imply Boruto's mental state is far above everyone else's, meaning that if Itachi puts him under Tsukuyomi for upwards of, I don't know, maybe 5 years, it should fry his brain the same way it would fry any other human's brain. Itachi just again runs into the same problem as most of the rest of the verse, where he can't really land this on Boruto because he's not fast enough. The last thing I want to touch on here, I've already sort of touched on it before, is just the downside of teamwork. Even though Kaguya is on the same side as the rest of the Narutoverse in this specific example, you can't be expecting her to care about the casualties of random people on the shinobi side while she's fighting someone like Boruto. They are the two big powerhouses here. Naruto, Sasuke, and Madara should obviously be somewhere around this realm of power, not getting one shot, but when Kaguya switches the dimension to the lava dimension, a lot of other people are just going to get wiped out. Since they have this giant team full of people who likely don't care for a lot of their teammates' lives, a lot of casualties are going to happen just within this team itself. All in all though, Boruto should be able to take down the entire Narutoverse, at least at this point.